CAF's announcement yesterday that it had received declaration of interest from 6 different countries for bids for the African Cup of Nations 2027 tournament. You had Algeria, Botswana, and Egypt submitting individual bids, while East African nations Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania submitted a joint bid. Now, the East African nations joint bid was generated the most reactions, and that's as a result of several factors, with poor stadium infrastructure being a problem for most East African nations, as national teams have been forced to play continental matches away from home. Now, joining me to discuss this is a sports journalist from Kenya, Javan Ekhalie, joins me right now. Javan, good morning.
Morning, Sam.
It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Let me begin with your own reaction. How did you perceive the news when CAF broke that news yesterday about the joint bid?
Okay, personally, I was very happy because Kenya has had an issue of stadiums. Many stadiums are not really developed. We only have Nyayo Stadium and Kasarani Stadium that at least reach the standards. But it's a good thing for the East Africa region, that is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. I think it's a good thing because we have a couple of years, 4 years to prepare to make sure all the stadiums are of the recommended quality, of the best quality, and I see it's going to benefit us.
Okay, let's look at the Kenyans now. When that news broke forth, how did Kenyans perceive it? Aside you, what was the reaction, the pulse of the people on the streets?
People are genuinely happy, although there are a couple who are a bit worried because right now in Kenya there's been a crisis of stadiums, such that the government was supposed to have built many world-class stadiums over the past 4 years, but none of them has come to fruition. So it's kind of ironic, you know. How is it that we as Kenyans want to host the 2027 AFCON, yet we don't even have one world-class stadium, even a FIFA accredited stadium?
Yes.
So it's mixed reactions generally.
Okay, since you've touched on that, that will just lead me to my next question because you preempted it. Looking at the joint bid now, Tanzania's Nkapa Stadium seems like the only stadium that is good to go because that meets the CAF and FIFA standards. You have your Nyayo Stadium, you have the Mandela Stadium in Uganda. You know, all of these stadia do not meet the requirements by CAF or FIFA. And with inspections set to take place by July, how feasible do you think this bid will be in terms of actualization?
It's not very feasible because a lot of money has to be used. There's a lot of money that each of the governments have to use in innovating the stadiums in terms of the seat capacity, because there's usually a threshold.
Yes.
The pitch quality and the security within the stadium, all the entertainment facilities and equipment. It's not very feasible. It will actually be quite shocking if by June each of the 3 countries will have, done something that CAF and FIFA will approve.
Okay, let's quickly look at the economic impact of this in about 30 seconds. We saw Namibia pull out of the joint bid with Botswana at the time. Now these are 3 different nations. They have their economic challenges as well. What's the economic impact for these nations in terms of cost?
The economic impact, first of all, it's a good thing that it's happening, and a lot has to be used in each of the governments. A lot has to be used. For example, in Kenya, the budget that's usually used for stadium usually goes for around over 100 million Kenya shilling, which is about $1 billion. So if you do that and count, let's say 3 other stadiums, then there's going to be a report that's going to be used, and the government is capable of doing so. It's just that we don't know if they'll actually do what they mean, or Yeah.
Okay. In wrapping up this discussion, this bid, what does it represent for our East African football and the development of football in that region?
It's actually a milestone for us. In 2027, we'll be able to host the Africa Cup of Nations. Many people will get to know that East Africans also do play football and they're good at football at a world stage because
Yes.
most of the time when people talk about African football, they will mainly look at West Africa and North Africa, but it will give East Africa a chance and people will step up their game so that they become better footballers. And in the future, hopefully more of these opportunities will come if we get the nod from CAF and FIFA.
Okay. Thank you so much, Javan, for your time on the show this morning.
Thank you.